We should be good now. We should be good now. Excuse me. Oh, you know what? I need to... Hold on. Streamelements.com. I did not open up that part of the stream. So it'll take me a second to get that ready. I'm going to try and talk at a lower volume today so that I don't wear out my voice because I got to record a podcast later. All right, let me see if this works. Did not. Super Chats window. Oh, hold on. Super Chats window. And then if I go back, there we go. And let me filter out the subscribes because that gets to be too much. There we go. Avengers. Yeah, I watched that. That looks pretty rad. I'm pretty excited about that game. By the way, members, we have new emotes that you guys can use. There's the Bill one, and then here's the Lloyd one. So those are our new emotes. Oh, there's also black and white ones. And then there's... So we've got black and white ones because it's very 30s looking. And then we have the color ones as well. So what do you guys want to talk about today? Let's talk about video games. Ben Botel, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate it, man. Just a second, everybody. Sorry, it's like my son has a detector when I go live. As soon as I go live, he knows that he wants to come in and talk to me. And if I'm not live, he won't talk to me because he's busy playing games. I'm just kidding. Tuesday. Oh, did I? Yeah, it's not Tuesday. It's Friday, you dummy. Friday. Save. All right, I fixed it. No, I don't mind that he comes in to talk to me. Brett, do I think Stadia will have some sort of suspend/quick resume gameplay feature in the future? I do think that that's something that we will get eventually. I think that there's a very good chance of that. And speaking of Stadia features, make sure that you tune in on Sunday. Lloyd and I have some other stuff to talk about. When do I think that I'm assuming you mean Borderlands 3 will be crossplay? You know, I don't know when it's going to be crossplay. You would think that they would have figured it out by now, but it seems like they're taking a really, really long time. And you know what I'm going to assume is that the reason that they're taking a really, really long time to get it done is because they're trying to make sure that it works really, really well. Kevin Smith, thoughts on the Cyberpunk trailer? I think it looks amazing. I also think it looks amazing. I watched it on Twitch, and there was a lot of people like talking about how snoozy it was, and I was like, whatever, man. Not everything has to be action all the time. I'm really looking forward to it. I think that game is going to be really, really good. Will Skyrim come to Stadia? I don't know. Let me check the question block. Will Skyrim come to Stadia? It says, sorry, I'm tired. So I don't know. Mr. Gray Arrow. Hey, Bill, what do you think about the medium graphic setting of most of the games, ESO, for example? So Gray Arrow, you bring up a good question, because a lot of people look at that and they think that that has something to do with the power of Stadia. And me, I am not a software engineer, so I don't personally know this off the top of my head. But what I will say is this. Remember that every single game that is running on Google Stadia right now is a port, meaning that it was not originally made with Stadia in mind, meaning that it was probably not made with Vulkan in mind. And so these developers are shoehorning games from other platforms onto this platform. And whenever you do that, you're going to lose something. In this case, you're going to lose performance, and so they have to do something in order to make up for that performance. So they lower the settings. Now, the argument that people make is that, well, on PC I can run this at higher resolutions and higher higher graphical settings and higher frame rates, and there is nothing wrong with saying that. The problem comes from this idea that you need to compare the two things, because you're comparing a computer, which generally would probably, if you want to run it at the settings, at like high settings, 60 frames per second or higher, you're going to have to spend a whole lot of money to do that. And on Stadia, the grand total of money that you have to spend in order to play a game is 0 plus the cost of the game. Whereas if I want to play it on those high-end settings, it's probably like $2,000 or maybe $1,000 plus the cost of the game. So when you compare those two things, I don't feel like that's really a fair comparison, especially when cost isn't talked about. Well, hopefully that answers your question. Matthew Headfield says, to add in, this is also the first time a lot of these developers are working on a cloud game. Aaron Magic Studios, thanks for the sub, man. Thumbs up. Crata is creeping closer and closer. Any plans or interest in a StadiaCast game jam? Stupid Wabbit, or as I like to call you, highly intelligent Wabbit. I have a plan for content for this channel centered around Crata. I have a plan. I'm not going to say much more than that now. Bowser 13. What are my predictions for the Connect? Games, features, same day drops. So I think that we'll hear about a bunch of games that are coming out in the second half of the year. Excuse me. I think that there's going to be lots of games that are going to be older games. Hey, everybody, here's this game that many of you probably already played. Now you can play it on Stadia. And of course, there's going to be, people who look at that and they say, oh, look at that, Stadia's bringing us more old games, when they don't remember that this is a brand new platform, and the new games are going to take a while to get here. So I anticipate that some of these games will be games that we've already played or that many of you have already played. As far as day and date, I think that that's going to happen a lot more next year or the year after. Expecting games to come day and date when the platform is less than a year old, I think that's a pretty high expectation. As far as features, state share is like, we're gonna have access to state share in a few days, and I've already used it. It's good. It works real well. You know, there's rumors out there that we're going to be getting access to family sharing, which is really awesome. I'm excited about that. J Stroke, I use a Heil PR40, but if you type !gear, it will give you a list of all of the stuff that I use to make content. And by buying using those links from Amazon, it directly helps me out because I get a cut from each sale, even though they don't charge you anything extra. Two years is way too long. The original Xbox didn't have that problem. The original Xbox shipped with like very, very few games. And the original Xbox shipped with basically PC parts. Like Microsoft went out and they put a bunch of PC parts into a console, and so it was pretty easy for devs to port their games from PC over to Xbox. So I don't think that you're really comparing apples and apples. It's more of an apples oranges thing. David DM, I have a question about Stadia controller compatibility. Have you ever tried to pair it with your Switch or a Switch Lite? I can't find any info. I don't think that, like, the Stadia controller does not have the ability to connect via Bluetooth yet. So I don't think you can. I gotta remember to talk a little bit quieter because I have to record my podcast. By the way, when I finish this, I'm going to move over to my Twitch channel and we're going to record my Nintendo podcast. So if you guys haven't already, there's a link in the description down below that takes you to my Twitch channel. You can go over there and follow now. That would be awesome. I don't have a Twitch command because Lloyd and I have two different Twitch channels, and so that might confuse people. But there's a link in the description right underneath the video that takes you straight there. ESO has been so good on Stadia. Doing dailies on my phone has been great. Then questing on my TV. I've been having a blast with ESO. That game is awesome, and being able to play it in this room or in the bedroom next door or the living room downstairs, that has been fantastic. Onai Aku, do you think Crata will be 4K 60 seeing as that it was made for Stadia? But here's the thing, Onai Aku, and I apologize if I pronounced your name wrong. Crata wasn't made for Stadia. Crata was made for PC, and then when they saw how easy it was to do state share with Stadia, they decided to put it on Stadia instead. All of the games, even the exclusives, are ports right now. You're not going to get a game that is truly a game that is made for Stadia for a couple of years. And the reason for that is because it takes a really, really long time to make games. Now, will it be... let me hit show for that. Will it be 4K 60? I don't know. I don't worry about the resolution and the frame rate because here's what I worry about. Is the game fun? And too many people are so worried about the numbers that they forget whether or not the game is fun. Like, there's all of these people who were complaining that Elder Scrolls Online is 30 frames per second instead of 60 frames per second. And while I understand that 60 frames per second is better, 30 frames per second is perfectly playable, and there's nothing wrong with it, especially when you can now play it on any screen that you want. So I think that people worry too much about those numbers and not enough about, is the game fun or not? Happy Friday, Lucas. Have I seen the new Chromecast Sabrina? Well, I mean, I saw the rumors of it. I haven't, like, seen one. Raul Adame says, Elder Scrolls Online wasn't letting me register online with my account too. I had to create an account and then link Stadia to ESO. Yeah, that was a mistake on ZeniMax's part. They really should have made that more clear. You'll think they'll talk about Sabrina on the 14th? I don't know. That seems, I mean, possibly. If there's a new, like, if there's a new Premier Edition that has Sabrina with it, and I don't think they're going to call it Sabrina. I think that they're going to call it something else. I think that's probably like a code name. I don't know. Oh, Eric, that's... Okay, so here's the thing, Eric. That's a good idea. The idea that Create a Creation mode would be open to everybody even without Stadia Pro, but you can't do anything with it. You can't share your game unless you're Stadia Pro. I don't think that you want to do that. Because you want everybody to be able to have access to that. And you got to remember that while we get we get Creta as part of the Pro games on July 1st, you can also just buy it. That's the thing everybody seems to forget about Google Stadia, is that you don't have to subscribe to Pro. You can just buy the games that you want. And if somebody just wants to buy the games that they want, like Creta, make a game, share it, then locking that sharing behind Pro would be a huge mistake. Raul, been hearing they might call it the Nest TV. I mean, that's the logical conclusion that they should that they could do, is calling it Nest, because they bought Nest, and we have Ring doorbells in our house. I would like to replace those with Nest cams, just so that it's all Google. Because we have Chromecasts on all the TVs, and it would be nice if somebody rang the bell, if it just popped up on the screen and said, hey, although I wouldn't want that to happen when I'm streaming. Like, that would be weird. Like, I could be streaming a game and somebody rings my doorbell and suddenly they're on the internet. Google needs to make it clear that you don't need Pro. They're doing a bad job with that currently. I agree. They need to do a new advertising campaign where they are focused on saying, play the games that you buy. You don't have to have no subscription needed. The subscription is optional. Cedric, am I excited for Avengers? More excited than I have been in the past, now that I've seen the gameplay. However, that gameplay looked... I mean, look, this is what all companies do. That gameplay was very, very scripted. And there's no UI. I want it to look... You know what I really want? I don't want them to highlight something that they've scripted and figured out. I want them to start the game, hand the controller to somebody, and let them play it, and just record how that person is playing so that we can see what it's like for us. Not somebody who says, all right, when I get over here, move over to this spot, press these 4 buttons, move over to this spot, press these 4 buttons, because we figured out that that's what looks the coolest. Man, we've been streaming for like less than about 20 minutes, and we almost have 100 people here already. You guys are fantastic. If you could do me a favor and click on the like button, and then click on the subscribe button, and then click on the bell, it would be really, really awesome and would help a whole bunch. And I need to fix something real quick. There we go. They let someone sign up and not ask for a credit card at the start of the free trial. I feel like that would gain more interest. Brian, I think we've had this conversation before, and I understand what you're saying. But I mean, I get it, but I feel like they need to be able to know that that is a unique person and not somebody who is just signing up, playing for their free trial, and then after the free trial is over, making another account and signing up and doing it again over and over and over. By the way, I said this when we first went live, but there's a bunch of new people here who were not here before. We've got some new emotes for our members. So there's Bill in black and white. There's Bill in color. There's Lloyd in black and white. And then there's Lloyd in color. And you guys have access to those if you are members. You can use them in chat. Raul, I did talk about it a little bit, and I agree. It looks like Cyberpunk looks real good. I can't wait for, well, I think that game is going to be really, really fun. One second, everybody. All right, I'm back. Phase 10. Thank you very much for becoming a member. Use those awesome emotes and enjoy them. Thank you. Philip, am I excited for Watch Dogs Legion? I'm kind of middling on that one. I think that it sounds like the concept of that game sounds really, really cool. I await... I'm looking forward to seeing what it's really like. Because there's been lots of times when somebody has come along and they've said, hey, look at what our game can do. And then when you actually play it, you're like, oh, all right, well, it's not really what we thought. You know what I mean? Sam, is there a launch date for Watch Dogs? No, in fact, they delayed it, so we don't know when that's happening. Alberto, we don't know if Google exists in 10 years. The graveyard of Google, it's that many people pulled back from the platform. Is a platform like when you take a platypus and you like do a cast of it so that you can see what it looked like? You know, the Google graveyard that everybody's always referring to, you know, because things like Google Reader and stuff like that got thrown in the garbage. Those aren't things that Google spent a lot of money making. Those are things that Googlers spent 20% of their time working on. Google threw a whole boatload of cash to make Google Stadia. They're not throwing it away anytime soon. And there's nothing that I can say to make you like agree with me. I'm just going to disagree with your supposition that it's going to end up on the Google graveyard, because I don't think that's going to happen. Raul, I'm still hooked on the Division 2. The game is so amazing. Haven't seen you play lately, Bill. That's because I've been obsessed with Elder Scrolls Online. But we do have a Division 2 channel in our community Discord. There's a link in the description down below. So make sure that you join that. Highly intelligent Bunny says that Microsoft just killed Mixer. People are dwelling. And also, most Google products get merged, not killed. That's true. I think that Microsoft, Mixer was costing them a bunch of money, and they weren't getting any views. And I think that the reason for that is because Microsoft went the wrong way. Like, they decided, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go and acquire these giant streamers and hope that their audience comes with them. What I think that they should have done instead is get much smaller streamers to come over by incentivizing it, making it much easier to monetize on their platform. If you make it easier for the average everyday Joe to monetize on your platform, then people will come to that platform. And if there's a bunch of people streaming on that platform, then a bunch of people will come to watch on that platform. There's a lot of people who were watching Ninja, and then they brought Ninja over to Mixer, and a bunch of people came over and watched Ninja. Didn't watch anybody else. And so, like, the number of, I don't know, Mixer was always kind of a disaster. I think that Mixer has a better UI than YouTube does. But YouTube, look, if it were completely up to me, I would ditch Twitch. I mean, it is completely up to me if I really want it to be. I would ditch Twitch, not stream there anymore, and focus solely on YouTube, because I think that it is the platform that makes the most sense. However, I have a lot of people who have been watching me stream on Twitch for a very long time, and I don't want to disappoint them, so I still stream on Twitch. But I do think that YouTube is the better platform. I think that Twitch has a better UI than YouTube. Of all of the platforms, YouTube has the worst UI, especially if you're watching on a screen that is bigger than 1080p. Alberto, I played a little bit of Ninjala. I'm going to talk about it today on my Nintendo podcast. It's weird. It's definitely weird. Rakutsi. Hey Bill, I know you like Elder Scrolls Online. I've been playing it on Stadia for the first time, but was trying PvP at an area, and when I was invited to a party, I got kicked out from spamming. Well, don't spam then. Why are you spamming people? That's irritating. I would have kicked you out too. Have I seen the latest APK insight post from 9 to 5 Google? Sam, do you mean the one that's talking about family sharing and stuff like that and notifications? I did see that. I think that that's great. Of course, it's all conjecture, and we're waiting to find out when the real stuff is going to be announced. Goblin Lord, finding a lot of time to play ESO still after the initial week? Yes. You got kicked out but didn't write anything. Well, how do you know it was for spamming then? Maybe you got kicked out because they decided that you weren't good enough because you were too low level or something. Highly Intelligent Bunny says, idea, Stadia Cast, create a game contest. People submit a game entry, and Bill and Lloyd pick their favorites. I have a plan for creative content. Trust me. Error 308 spamming. I can't help you with that, Rakutsi. What I would recommend is that you contact ZeniMax or Google, probably ZeniMax. I would contact ZeniMax on Twitter and ask them what the heck that means. You've got to change your name. You do need to change your name, Stupid Wabbit, because you're not stupid. You're highly intelligent. If you guys didn't know, anytime that somebody uses a super chat, a little dinosaur shows up on the bottom left and he runs to the bottom right. And that little dinosaur was designed by our highly intelligent bunny named Stupid Wabbit. And we're going to go ahead and ban that guy right there. There, he's gone. What is the key for block on keyboard? It's just hold down the right click. I suggest you go through and do the tutorial again, Rick. Because they tell you how to do that stuff. Got my own ideas for Krita in Korean recently, though. So I really wish they would bring Stadia here. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Goblin Lord. Brian says, I missed the excitement. What excitement did you miss? We're just sitting here listening to relaxing music and having a conversation. I don't think there was any exciting things that happened. We're just chatting. Assuming Stadia requires mouse and keyboard plus controller support, I don't have confidence my favorite RTS game's coming. Yeah, I mean, they like Google really wants you to be able to play on your TV. When we were talking, when I was interviewing John Justice, I said to him, I can't remember how I phrased it, but his response was, we want you to be able to play on the biggest and best screen in your house. That's where they're focusing now. Roberto Martinez, what do I use for game recording? I use OBS. If you type !gear, there's a whole list of things that I use to make my content. J-Stroke, I recommend Google to make something like Razer Turret so they can have mouse and keyboard play on your TV. I think that what would be the best thing for them to do is to sell a USB to USB-C adapter, and then you could have a mouse and keyboard thing that you could have a little USB adapter that plugs into the back of your controller, right? And splits off to two USB female cords, and then you can plug in a mouse and keyboard directly into your controller, and then this turns into your mouse and keyboard as well. So then you can use mouse and keyboard with your controller. That's what I would say would be the best thing to do. And also sell a mouse and keyboard that has Wi-Fi built in. Wheezy, I have not gotten any info, on the beta app for iOS. Hey, Grant. Bill, will you be playing Biomutant? Just seen the trailer and I'm hyped for it. I must have missed that. Let me see if I can find it. Biomutant Stadia. Do we know that that's coming to Stadia? So this is what I'm seeing right here. If I go to vanesoftgames.com, biomutant/Stadia, it says undefined. Oh, maybe... I don't know what Vanesoft is. I don't know anything about it. I'll have to check it out. I'll be jumping up and down when they announce iOS support. Yeah, because I've got an iPad, and I would love to be able to use my iPad for Stadia. Like, it is the best screen that I have. It's fantastic. And I know it's not 4K, but the color is so good, and it's really, really crisp, and it's super high refresh rate. Raul, you know, I think that there's a possibility that Bluetooth mice and keyboards might work with that Sabrina thing. And the reason I think so is because it comes with a remote. And if it comes with a remote, that means it's going to have Bluetooth. But I would still prefer to do Wi-Fi because that cuts out the middleman and makes things a little bit faster. Any spicy inside news? Karuga Leader, any spicy inside news for Stadia that you can't tell us? Well, if yes, but I can't tell you. Have you or anyone tried the Razer Kishi? The price is the only thing stopping me right now. Grant Fuller, we've had a lot of people in my community Discord talking about talking about the Razer Kishi. So if you want to know more about that, join the Discord, which is a link in the description down below. And when you join that, you can ask people in the StadiaCast channel. Just make sure you read the rules first before you start posting things. Hey, Spaghetti. I'm just refilling my water. Roberto Martinez, what do you think about the video Sonny made about the SpongeBob game and that singing game? I don't watch other content creators. I don't have time to watch other content creators. I'm usually too busy making content, so I haven't seen Sonny's video, but Sonny's cool. Pigeon, what music are you using from your live stream? Does it cost money to use? No, it's absolutely free. It's called Stream Beats. It's by Harris Heller. He is a content creator and a live streamer, and he hired a bunch of people to make music that he owns the rights to, and then said, use it on your streams. Super nice guy. Karuga, is there any news that you can't share getting a reveal soon? I mean, I don't know when things are going to be revealed, but I have information that devs have told me that I have not shared yet. The Stadia logo was on the launch trailer for the latest SpongeBob game, but it's weirdly not out on Stadia. Well, I mean, maybe it's coming to Stadia and they just need time to port it. I don't know. I'm not really interested in. Is that the Battle for Bikini Bottom or whatever? Like, I'm not interested in that game even a little. Excuse me. Let's see. Alberto says Google needs to Google need to a Stadia Kishi with wireless Wi-Fi support internal. Okay, God, Alberto, I don't know if English isn't your first language or something, but you got to work on the grammar there because that's really hard to understand what your point is. Mitch C. I wouldn't scale it. I don't like scaling things. I don't like to scale things. What do I think about the Avengers trailers? I think that game is looking better and better every time that they show it. I feel like I finally understand what kind of game it is, and I am looking forward to playing it. I mean, I think SpongeBob is funny. We used to watch the cartoon, and I remember taking my family to go watch the movie, and it was good. It was funny. I had fun with it, but I don't know. That game just doesn't really appeal to me. Do I think any of my secret info will be revealed at the Connect? I have no way of knowing what they're going to talk about the Connect ahead of time. Jarrus, Gen 2 Stadia true? I mean, we reported on it before anybody else. Google has not confirmed it. Joshua Talley, how do I find the Nerd Nest Guild? Join the Discord, Joshua. Join the Discord right down below. And you can, after you read the rules, you can join the ESO channel, and you can ask somebody to invite you. Excuse me. I think Bill should do a full SpongeBob review when it drops on Stadia. I don't do a lot of game reviews because I don't have the, excuse me, I don't have the attention span to finish most games. And because I don't finish most games, I don't feel like I can review them. So if I ever review a game, it's because I finished it. Joshua, you joined, but you don't see anything there. That's probably because you didn't read the rules. You got to read the rules. Hey there, Snow. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. What would be your must-have game to get ported to Stadia, if it could be one coming soon or ported? I mean, I would love for Final Fantasy XIV to get ported to Stadia. I would love for World of Warcraft to be ported to Stadia. I'd love for Diablo 3 and, of course, 4 to get ported to Stadia. Star Wars The Old Republic, that would be awesome. You'll notice that I'm naming off a lot of games that are primarily online games. Mitch C., do you know how Google compensates devs publishers for putting games on Pro? I do not. My guess is that they individually, like with this developer / publisher, they have a specific deal, and then they have a different deal with this one and a different deal with this one. So I don't know. All right, Polaris just did a super chat, and they said Stadia needs to do something huge. xCloud is rumored to use Series X hardware next year. Makes me nervous, as all the focus will now be on this. Well, first off, there's no reason for you to be nervous. There's plenty of games for us to play. Have you played every game that's on Stadia? Probably not. So being nervous about it isn't going to do you any good. I'm going to tell you the same advice that I tell anybody. You know, whenever you're nervous about something, ask yourself the question, can I do anything about it? If the answer is yes, then shut up and do something about it. If the answer is no, then stop worrying about it. You can't do anything about it. and then move on with your life. As far as the Series X hardware being put on xCloud, I mean, that's inevitable. Of course that's going to happen. It makes perfect sense for that to happen. However, and this is a big however, the thing that you have to remember is that means the Xbox is still focused on hardware. They still are tied to hardware. And that means xCloud is no different than owning an Xbox. You just can play it in the cloud instead. The thing that makes, in my opinion, Stadia better, or at least I'm more excited for, is the way that it's not tied to hardware that needs to be a possibility for somebody to have in their house. And because of that, because Stadia is decoupled from hardware, because they have the ability to do stuff that you can't do on local hardware, that's where Stadia is going to shine. But Bill, we haven't seen anything that shows us what's that like. You're right, we haven't. And that's because it takes a long time to make games. And that's what Jade Raymond and her team are working on right now. There's too many people that are focused on the now instead of the future. And I think Google has their eye on the long ball. They're playing the long game, and Microsoft is playing the short game. And when you're playing the long game, it might seem like you're at a disadvantage. But I think that in the end, we're going to see that that Stadia is doing things the right way, even if right now it seems like they're not. Hopefully that answered your question, or didn't answer a question, but hopefully that makes sense. Michael Mooney sent in a super chat. They said 3 studios that I think Google should buy. That's a good question. Obviously not Ubisoft, because Ubisoft is making a bunch of games already for them anyway. So there's no need for that. Let's imagine that money is not really an issue here, and they can afford to buy anybody they want. I would want them to buy Blizzard. I would want them to buy Blizzard and bring the Blizzard games, which are mostly games that are focused on online gameplay. I would want them to bring those to Stadia. They don't need to go after somebody like Square Enix, because Square Enix is doing a bunch of games on the platform already. I don't know. I don't know that that's the solution, is to go out and buy studios. That's the solution that Microsoft went with last year, and I think it's a good solution for them. But I think that right now Google just needs to continue doing what they're doing. Let me turn it around and ask you guys, who do you want them to buy? Ralph Haley, do you believe in the power of Crata? Buy the power of Crata. I have the power and the features it offers. Stadia Share. I think you mean State Share. Are you excited, or do you believe game will collapse under hype? I don't understand the question. I think that I can't talk about Crata because it's under NDA right now. So, tune in on the 29th when I have more that I can say about it. So Nick D, CD Projekt Red. I don't see why they would buy CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red is already bringing games to the platform. Kagrua Leader, I hope they get Call of Duty games on Stadia, or Battlefield games, or at least one of those. I mean, we know that EA is bringing more games to Stadia. We don't know which games they are. They said specifically that I think they said they're bringing 5 games to Stadia, and they announced a few of them, but they have not announced all of them yet. So I'm sure that those games will come soon. So if I could play only one of them, would I want to play Cyberpunk or Avengers more? Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate, it looks really good. I watched Sven Vinke do his live stream on Twitch the other day. Oh my god, that looks good. Phase 10 says Activision. I don't want him to buy Activision. I just want him to buy Blizzard, but that's because I don't like most Activision games. Ray says Bill has achievements in Creta, most definitely knows more. Does it show that? I have to look now. You nosy Nellies. I don't even know how to find that stuff. I don't care about, like, that's how much I care about achievements. I don't even know what achievements I have. WB Studio, but we already have Mortal Kombat on the platform. It's clear that the WB Studio is already supporting the platform. It doesn't matter. I can say that I've played Creta. I just can't talk about it. WB's on the market? I have no idea. Are they? I mean, if the studio is up for somebody to buy, then they should go ahead and buy it, you know? Thanks. Thanks, Kodiak. Sam, I can't talk about Creta. It's under embargo until the 29th, I think. I got a video coming. Cedric wants him to buy Naughty Dog. Really? I mean, it'd be real tough to get Naughty Dog away from PlayStation. They seem really, really happy. I'm glad you were able to figure it out, Josh. So, Josh, was I right that all you had to do was read the rules? Because you could not believe how many people send me messages and they're like, I don't see anything on the Discord. And I'm like, well, read the rules. And then I never hear from them again. Or was there some other problem, Joshua? I would love to see Neopets, The Darkest Fairy, and Microsoft or Minecraft ported to Stadia. Neopets? Is that really a thing still? Oh, I understand there, Josh. Yeah, Final Fantasy 14 would be perfect on Stadia. See, I want Final Fantasy 14 to come to Stadia and Switch and Microsoft Xbox as well. See you later, Pigeon. See, that's why I had all of those icons there, so that it would only let people in who actually read the rules. I'll be right back. I'm back. I'm back. Sorry, Josh. I didn't mean to make you feel bad. Oh, man. Okay, so I got to call you Joshua because now we have another Josh here. Josh, yes, Darksiders is so good. Goblin Lord, how would you say Final Fantasy 14 compares with ESO? So, all right. So Final Fantasy 14 plays slower, has better dungeons, but requires a subscription. Like, you cannot play Final Fantasy 14 without paying a subscription. ESO has fewer abilities, faster combat. Positioning is not as important, I don't think, and does not have a subscription. But when I say that Final Fantasy 14 plays slower, it feels more impactful. Because it plays slower, you are committing to an action. And if you make a mistake, there's more consequence because of the slower gameplay. I love Final Fantasy 14. It's really, really good. X2I, hope you're well, Bill. Enjoying listening to this chilled conversation whilst at work. Thank you. I don't think there's been any word about Tony Hawk coming to Stadia. Like, they mentioned the platforms that they mentioned. I don't think it's coming. Kangura, by the way, do I know if any big games that are not revealed yet are coming / getting revealed soon? Just say yes or no. Even if I did, I wouldn't say yes or no. Joshua Talley, I played Final Fantasy 11 for years. I couldn't commit to 14 because my son was born when it released in playable form. Well, there's nothing stopping you from jumping in now, Joshua. It's a really good game. Do you think we'll get GTA 5? I don't know, and I don't care. I don't care about GTA. I don't like Rockstar stuff. I don't like their business practices, and I don't like their controls. So, like, I'm just not even a little interested in Grand Theft Auto games coming to Stadia or any other platform. But I hope that we get all of those games for people who care about them. Kagura, it's not necessarily Google that gives me my information. I get information from devs. And if I go around saying things that they would prefer that I keep quiet, then they would stop telling me things. Do I think that people don't purchase games hoping that there'll be a pro game? Yes. I think that people don't purchase games hoping that there'll be a pro game because we've gotten a bunch of games that people have purchased. We've gotten a bunch of games that people have purchased as pro games, and then they're like, oh no. But I don't think that that's a problem for me, anyway. I mean, here's the thing. If we get a pro game, then the developer's still getting money. Google's giving them money. So it's okay. How is Stadia Cat? Is he in here? He's not in here. He's downstairs someplace. My wife is making pretzels, and so he's probably downstairs sniffing the air. And, you know, Phase 10 brings up a really good point. Once there's a lot more games in the store, it's going to be easier for Google to say, look, you can buy games. Hey, do that. You can buy games, and maybe they'll be, you know, they probably won't be pro later or something. Goblin Lord, do I think the pro game flow will ever slow? They kind of ramped it up. I think that they made a mistake, honestly, by doing 6 games in June and then 4 games in July. I think what they should have done instead is maybe 1 or 2 games in July so that people are expecting it to fluctuate and go all over the place, because I think that would be better. think the pro game... Oh, I already read that. But I like those emotes. Brian Ferald says that I think that it has to. I don't think that it has to. You look at the Nintendo Switch, and it gets like 30, 40 games every week. Yeah, a lot of them are kind of trash, but some of them aren't. Some of them are pretty good, you know? And so I think that as Stadia as a platform matures and has a bigger library, it's going to be easier for Google to say, hey, here's a game, let's throw it in here. Here's a game, let's throw it in there. I don't know what ideal is, but I do think that they need to have, like one of those gift cards that you can go into like a Target or a Walmart or a GameStop and buy like a Stadia card and buy stuff that way. Richard, would sooner Stadia has a quality filter on its games than full of crap like the Play Store? Would sooner Stadia... I don't understand what you mean, Richard. I'm sorry. I'm getting the idea behind what you're saying, but I think what you're saying is that you would prefer that they curate the content more than bring in way too much stuff. And I agree with that. You don't want to have a bunch of really bad stuff. You know, that's where the Nintendo seal of quality came from. You go back to the Atari. You know, the Atari 2600. Anybody could make a game for the Atari 2600. And because anybody could make a game for the Atari 2600, and people looked at the video game industry and said, whoa, man, they're making a bunch of games. Or they're making a bunch of money. Let's make games for the Atari 2600. And we don't really care what the quality is because these are toys for kids. It doesn't matter. Let's just shovel a bunch of garbage at them. And in 1983, there was a lot of garbage out there, and so much garbage that people were going into a store and buying a game and bringing it home, and the kids were like, this is garbage. This is unplayable garbage. And so then, you know, they would bring them back to the store and they'd say, this is bad. And this is back when stores would, you know, the customer was always right, and they would take back the product and say, oh, I'm sorry about that. Here's your money back. Well, they were bringing back, so many people were returning their stuff that they were like, we're done carrying this stuff. So rather than continue to carry all this stuff, what we're going to do is we're going to put all of this stuff on for super cheap to get rid of it. And it still wouldn't sell because people had learned that video games were really, really terrible. And so the entire video game market crashed, and, you know, companies took all of their stock of games and like buried them in the damn desert in like a landfill, like E.T., right? And Nintendo came along and they were like, well, let's, we want to sell this thing. And they said, nobody is going to buy video games. Video games were a fad and they're over. And Nintendo said, all right, well, let's package it with a robot. You can see, where is the robot? There he is. He's right there. Rob the robot. It's right there. So we're going to package it with this robot. It's going to be a toy. We're not going to sell it in the electronics department because you guys have decided that video games are over. We're going to put it in the toy department. And they said, but you can only make a game for the Nintendo if you have the Nintendo seal of quality. And you can only make 5 games on our system a year. Any more than that, and we're just going to tell you no. And that's because they didn't want people to make 15 clones of the same game that was kind of garbage and sell it. And that's why Nintendo has always kind of been a curator for games. And, you know, the Switch, they kind of opened up the floodgates, and there's a lot of garbage on the Switch. And right now, Google is acting more like 1985 Nintendo than 2017 Nintendo. See you later, Sam. Enjoy your dinner, man. Steam is full of those bad games. Yeah, Steam is full of bad games, but it's also full of good games. Switch is full of bad games, but it's also full of good games. And it's really hard for you to find, you know, the diamond in the rough, the things that are worth playing, which is too bad. Cedric, you're not wrong about that. Yes, in you know, I was also talking about games, but also there was, like, you know, the Fairchild Channel F, the Atari video game system, the Magnavox Odyssey, and the Magnavox Odyssey 2. Like, there were all of these other things, and they were like, okay, well, we can't put them all on the shelf. So there was a lot of problems with the video game industry in 83, in 82. Which big three studios, Xbox, Sony, or Nintendo, do you think will stop releasing games on disc in the next gen? I think it's possible that all of them. Well, it's tough. You know, as far as I'm perfectly okay. Did Rob say video games? Yes. As far as I'm perfectly okay with digital only, there's a lot of people who can't be okay with digital only, and it's because they live in a place where their internet is terrible or metered and they don't have any option. So I don't think that that's going to happen for a long time. Maybe the Summer of Games sale will happen after the Connect. I don't know. Stadia is not the answer for them. Oh, you're not wrong. Stadia is not the answer for them. And Lloyd and I have been saying this forever. Stadia is not the answer for everybody. Is it the answer for us? Seems like it. I'm pretty happy with it. Brad Roselle. I'm just realizing how hard Wavebreak is. Digital is the way of the future, but we'll have physical copies for at least another decade for sure. I agree with that. And oh my God, Wavebreak is hard. I think it's too hard. I think that they need to, like, I think that the campaign starts out at like 8, and the campaign should start out at like 2. David K, what do I think of The Crew? I assume you mean The Crew 2. I have not played it. Lloyd played it. He really liked it. Does for Wavebreak seem pretty active on Reddit? I mean, that's a smart move. If you're a dev for an underdog console, and that's what Stadia very much is, then you should be active in its community. Jamie, Bill, do you think Stadia will ever be good enough to have a game like Valorant on its platform? It already is. Just because Valorant's not on the platform doesn't mean that Stadia is not good enough for it. Valorant is a shooter, and if you're looking for a shooter that plays incredibly well, I would say the best port on Stadia right now is The Division 2. I literally could not tell the difference. I could not tell that I was playing with a mouse and keyboard. There was no lag at all. It was insane how well that game performs on Google Stadia. Yes, Funktronic did do VR games before that. We interviewed them, by the way. Make sure that you check the channel for that interview. The vision is amazing on Stadia. It looks great too. I don't know how well PUBG plays because I've only ever played it on Stadia, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. No, Funktronic. Brad, yes, the next Stadia Connect is on the 14th. Do I think Stadia will add free-to-play games? I do think that Stadia will add free-to-play games, but I think that it'll be locked behind Stadia Pro, which makes perfect sense. Richard, I haven't heard anything yet about interviews. I would love to talk to him again. Like I interviewed him well before launch, and then I interviewed him like the day before launch. I would love to interview him like now that it's really here. Excuse me. By the way, after this stream, I'm going to be recording my Nintendo podcast over on my Twitch channel. So make sure that you follow the link in the description down below so you can come join us when I talk about the Nintendo stuff today. Jamie, my concern is that latency could happen while playing in such a competitive game like Valorant on a Wi-Fi connection. But here's the thing. The game doesn't become more latent, it just becomes more pixelated. I've played The Division 2 on Wi-Fi, and it feels great. And if I have a bad connection, then my screen gets more artifacts and stuff like that. Richard says, no one wants to invest in the unknown. But where's the investment? You don't have to buy anything. Kagura, what do you think about GeForce Now and Steam kind of semi-merge and what it's going to mean for Stadia? I think it's good. Look, here's what GeForce Now is. It's a way for you to play the games that you already have on your devices. I think that's fine. What is Stadia? Stadia is a new platform. And that's the thing that people forget. I think that because they're both streaming, people think it's apples to apples, but it's not. It's apples to oranges. And Trev's is making sense right there. Eddie Player One says, real competitive scenario, esports will take a while before there are any competition on Stadia. I don't think so. I think if everybody is on Stadia, like if some people are on Stadia and some people are not, then that's different. But if everybody is on Stadia, then that kind of normalizes everything. And so it's perfectly fine to do competitive play that way. Brett Gibson, I don't have any information on that. Caleb Terry, I hope that demos and trials aren't locked behind creating an account or a pro trial. Anyone jumping into Stadia game through a link with no account creation would be a huge to get into more hands. I don't think that makes any sense because you want to have an account to play a game. There's something else that you want to keep in mind is that parents want to be able to control what their kids have access to. And if a kid can make an account without a credit card, then they can make an account and play a game like Doom Eternal when maybe the parent doesn't want them playing that. So by requiring a credit card, it allows parents to know what their kid is playing and gives them the opportunity to set up parental controls. Hey Ashes, what's up, man? My guess is Orcs Must Die 3 will be dropped to pro game at the Connect. And that's a possibility. We don't know when that game is coming out. It would be really nice if it were a pro game. It was funny. I was showing my son the Avengers game, and he goes, "Is that going to be a pro game?" And I go, "I don't think so, buddy." Sean Grace says, age restrict some games then. But how are you going to age restrict some games if you don't have an account? Snow, do you think Roblox will come over to Stadia? I don't see why it wouldn't. But my answer to that is check out Creta on July 1st. Stadia lets Google do major investment into servers beyond email, video, music, and storage. The purpose of time, saying ew Roblox. I'm with you. I'm not interested in playing Roblox, even a little. But there's a lot of people who like it, so it's good. Would be good to have on the platform. Are fantastic. Still running into major latency with the controller only in one part of my house. On PC/phone it's fine, but Chromecast Ultra, wireless and wired are both very bad unless I'm close to my router. I mean, I understand that. Just you're going to have a better network, and if you can't have a better network in your house, then I would say that Stadia is not for you and you probably want to do something else. Am I able to stream Creta before the release of July 1st? I'm not sure. I'd have to reread the embargo. Stadia needs to work on its brand awareness. It's at an all-time low at the moment, heading towards forgotten/untouchable after speaking to a lot of casual players at work. Well, okay, so first off, there's a whole host of problems with what you just said, Richard. A, small sample size, okay? B, I agree that Stadia needs to work on its brand awareness. Without a doubt, they need to do better on that. C, heading towards forgotten/untouchable, I think that is an overstatement, like a huge overstatement. Just because Stadia didn't come out of the box and immediately eclipse the Xbox, Switch, and PlayStation does not mean that it is forgotten or a failure. And anybody that says so is prone to hyperbole, and I would disagree with them. Damar Scott, do you think Stadia would make a console? I hope not. I hope they never make a console, because the promise of Stadia is that it can do things that a physical console in your house can't do. And making a console would be like saying, well, we think the Xbox way is better. Do I think Google made TVs with Stadia built in, not on a console, like another option? I do think that we are going to get, like, you'll buy a computer. Hold on, I just got a message. Okay. I think that if you... I don't remember what I was saying. Sorry, I got distracted by a shiny thing, and I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, yeah. I think that you're going to be able to buy, like, you'll go and you'll buy a TV, and it's going to have Stadia pre-installed. Just like Netflix. You think FIFA and Madden coming to Stadia could really make some waves? I think it's a possibility. I think that the people who get super excited for FIFA and Madden are people who already have a console, and I don't think that that is going to help push people towards Stadia. It's just going to give people who are already into Stadia more games to play. By the way, what do I think about the Mafia Deluxe Edition? Do I think it's getting the same date release on Stadia? I mean, I have no idea if it's going to get the same date release on Stadia. I hope so. But if it doesn't, I'm not going... It's not the sky isn't falling. Like, everybody acting like the sky's falling because we won't get Cyberpunk on the same day. I think that they just need to get a little perspective. It's not that big a deal. Ooh, the Batman Arkham games. It would be really good to get the Batman games on Stadia. Kaylin, we don't know when it's coming out. They have said that it's coming to Xbox, PlayStation, and PC on November 19th, and Stadia, and they phrased it weird for some reason, that same year. Do I think many ESO PC players are taking advantage of Stadia the way you predicted? I have no way of knowing, but I would not be surprised. Like, being able to play Elder Scrolls Online away from your computer to do things like crafting or do a quick dungeon from, on a different screen, that's really compelling. I don't think that's happening, Sam. Hey, everybody, if you could do me a favor and click on the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell, it would be awesome. Do I think we will be player numbers in the July Connect? What do you mean by player numbers? Do you mean like how many people are playing on Stadia right now? I don't know. I don't think that it makes a lot of sense for them to say that. Now, if the number of Stadia accounts that have been created are really, really high, then it would make a lot of sense for them to say, by the way, this many people have played. That'd be good. That'd be good for PR. But just because we don't hear it doesn't mean that the numbers are bad. By the way, if Square Enix is sticking with Stadia support, do we think we'll get Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 next year? Trying to wait off for Xbox, but if it does, I'll get it on Stadia. I have no idea. I hope so, because that game's really good, and a lot of people would really enjoy it. Yeah, Jamie, we were talking about Final Fantasy XIV earlier. Has Stadia had 100% uptime other than the Gods and Monsters incident? I don't know if it's been 100% uptime, but there has never been a time where I have personally gone to play a game and not been able to play that game. Brian Larson. Hey, Bill, I hope the World of Warcraft is coming to Stadia. I will sell my PC if it does. I mean, why would you sell your PC? What if there's a game that comes to PC that doesn't come to Stadia that you want to play? Excuse me. Josh says, I was just thinking because Tomb Raider Trilogy is owned by Square. They're also releasing Avengers. And they've released Octopath. So hopefully Final Fantasy VII will make the jump. And we also have Final Fantasy 15 on Stadia. Although that's kind of a garbage port from what I've understood. I've played it. And it seems okay. Although the HDR on that game is real bad. You heard any more about mobile connections with Stadia? Do you believe that they are waiting for widespread 5G to announce mobile data support? Well, Ralph, that's exactly what John Justice told me when I interviewed him. But then in the latest APK teardown, I think they saw something about mobile connections. So I don't know. Stadia app on Android has 1 million plus downloads. Raul, you're not wrong about that, but that doesn't mean that there's 1 million people playing. There were a lot of people who made accounts and then never touched it again. Everett Brilly, do I think Stadia will update their servers to compete with next-gen consoles coming out? I have already spoken to a dev about that, and they have told me specifically that they are working on a game that is using Gen 2 hardware for Stadia instead of Gen 1 hardware. Is this what Stadia Cat looks like? Yes, that is what Stadia Cat looks like. He's around here someplace. I don't know where, though. Do we know when Stadia is going to open their first game dev? I know that they are wanting to do that. They already have 3, but none of them have put out any games yet because they're working on it. Matt Gothard, what's your thoughts on the Gods and Monsters demo leak? Did I play it? I did not play it. I was busy at the time, so I didn't get a chance to hop in there and download it. Plus, I think it was only available on the Canadian store by accident. And I'm not from Canada, so I didn't get a chance to try it out. But think it looks a lot like Breath of the Wild. And as Breath of the Wild is my favorite game ever, more Breath of the Wild is good. I think it looks good. I'm looking forward to it. Richard, any news on a yearly subscription? None that I know of. Random noob, there are also people that downloaded the app just to make a fake 1-star review and also download on multiple devices. That's true. Any idea of a release of that Gen 2 game? Even if I did know, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Oh, see, Ashes was able to play it, and they were in the U.S. Mitch C, is Gen 2 hardware the same level as Series X and PS5 or better? I don't have any way to answer that question. There are too many people that look at the number of teraflops that a platform has and think that that tells the whole story about how much power it has. And sure, something that has more teraflops will perform better in some cases than one that has fewer. But it's not a one-to-one thing. And I've said this a million times, but don't worry about the power. Worry about the games. Start playing the games. Is the game fun? If the answer is yes, then that's all you need to know, and it doesn't matter what the power is. Yeah, Josh, I agree with you. I've said it a million times that it's a bad idea for them to say, and by the way, we've got new hardware, and that new hardware has this many teraflops and can do this or that. Just show the game. Just say, here's a new game. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it plays like. What do you guys think? And people are going to be blown away. Don't even mention that it's on new hardware. Highly Intelligent Bunny says, do you think that the controller is really good but fragile feeling? I don't think it feels fragile. I think it feels great. I love this controller. This is really, really comfortable. It's funny because I was playing, because I've been playing a lot of Elder Scrolls lately, and I obviously I play with my controller most of the time. I don't like mouse and keyboard a bunch. So I was playing on PC because I wanted to use a mod in Elder Scrolls Online to find sky shards or something like, I can't remember, something along that line. And so I was using my Xbox controller, and my Xbox controller is, you know, a different layout, and I was fighting something and I went to switch weapons, which is the left on the D-pad here, and I kept reaching for the D-pad in the wrong spot on my Xbox controller. It was very frustrating. Dot Stripe sent in a super chat. They said, almost 7,000 subs. You guys deserve it. Well, thank you very much, Dot Stripe, for the support and for the kind words. Hey there, Vaxxer. Ray, I've gone through 2 controllers with trigger problems. Anytime that you make a whole bunch of a thing, some of those will be bad. I have played a lot on my Stadia controller, and I've had no problems with it so far. But Lloyd played a bunch on his, and he had a problem, and they ended up shipping him a Wasabi one to replace it. Does anybody know how many founders there are? No, Google hasn't released that information. I don't think that they will. Everett, I don't have an answer for that. Good God. Hey, look, man. I want iPhone. Well, I don't care about iPhone support. I want my iPad to work with Stadia too. I know how you feel. And before everybody gets in here and they're like, "Whoa, don't use Apple," blah blah blah. They both are fine. Relax. Brian Larson, do I think Google will have the new version of Chromecast Ultra, the one with the remote as a bundle? I hope so. One of the reasons a lot of people don't like using Chromecast is because it requires you to use your phone or a Google Home. Now, we have Google Homes throughout our house, so I can say, "Hey, keyword, play the show," and it'll play on the TV, and I don't have to touch anything. My wife and I are watching The Watchmen, which we just started watching on HBO, which is a pretty violent show, and we hear one of the kids coming up the stairs, and I just say, "Hey, keyword, pause," and it pauses it, and I never have to touch a remote. But if you don't have a house filled with Google Home devices, then you got to use your phone. And so that means you got to grab your phone, you got to unlock it, you got to make sure that you're on the thing, and you got to hit pause. And that's kind of a hassle. So the idea that it comes with a remote is huge, because it's going to make a lot more people much more willing to use it. And if people are more willing to use it, then and they preload the Stadia as an app on it, that is going to help push Stadia into more houses. Do I think Google will ever ditch the numbers in the non-founders gamer tags? No, I don't think so. I don't think that there's any need to. I think that if you're worried about having numbers after your name in a gamer tag, then you've got priority issues. That's not a big deal. Who cares? This thing just needs to get crowdplay fully integrated into YouTube. How can they hope to break into the market with such a ridiculous time? I don't understand what you mean. And yes, I'm aware that you can start your Chromecast just by turning on the controller, and that works great. I was talking about using it to watch TV shows or movies or stuff like that. Everett Briley says, "Thanks for all the info." Well, you're welcome. I don't know that I gave you any info, but I replied to you, and I thank you for the support. And there we go. So I'll throw that up on the board here for a little bit. See, I am excited for the idea of full YouTube integration. The thing that I think people run into, and a mistake that a lot of people make, is that they hope for something and they turn that hope into expectation. And then when that expectation is not met by a company that did not promise that they would meet it, they get mad about it. And that's really right now the big problem with Google Stadia, is that they failed to meet expectations that they themselves did not set. Now, could they have done something about this? Absolutely. What they should have done is, when all of those articles came out that were comparing YouTube to Netflix, I'm sorry, not YouTube, Stadia to Netflix, then Stadia should have said, by the way, this is not the Netflix of gaming. That would have managed expectations, and people would have been less upset when it turned out that the expectations that they made were incorrect. Reza, right now you can't use Google Assistant commands in the game, like in game-related ones. I guess that yesterday they made it so that you could activate the Google Assistant while you're in a game, which is cool, but right now it's not terribly useful. It was funny because, like I said, I've got Google Home devices here. Right here is a Google Home device, okay? And sometimes when I'm doing my writs in Elder Scrolls Online, I'll say, hey, keyword, how do I make a sip of Magicka? And it will tell me, oh, these are the 3 things that are in it. But then other times I say the same thing, and it will say, I couldn't figure out what you meant. So we'll see. Brian Larson, thank you very much for becoming a superhero. You are fantastic. If you did not know, Brian, we have some new emotes that you can use. There's a black and white Bill, and a color Bill, and a black and white Lloyd, and a color Lloyd. There you go. Use those emotes and enjoy. Richard, Last of Us 2 sold 4 million copies in its first weekend. Quality games are important. I just hope we get some solid titles to tie us over. Quality games are important. That's right. You can also use the goldfish emote. Excuse me. The goldfish emote is because I have a bad memory and I can't remember things. That's what it's for. So anytime that I'm having trouble getting my thoughts out or remembering something, you guys should just do this combo. Do I think Cyberpunk 2077 will have any unique Stadia features? It doesn't really make sense for a game like that to have unique Stadia features. It's a single-player game. It's not an online game, so I don't see what anything else they could really do other than have the assistant where you could say, hey, keyword, how do I beat this level or whatever, which that would be really cool if they did that. But because the game started development 5 years ago, I don't think that's going to happen. State share would be cool. Oh, it's got multiplayer coming after? I did not realize that. State share, I mean, maybe state share would be cool. Do I think Stadia is going to have cross-play with PS5 and Xbox more with new games coming out? I think that'll happen more often. I mean, EA just said, hey, we're going to do cross-play. Especially now that PlayStation kind of got out of everybody's way. David DM, do I think Google will one day start developing exclusive games for Stadia like Nintendo does for its consoles? They already do. None of them are out yet, but they're already making them. That's why they hired Jade Raymond to work on it. Well, So Cedric, I don't think adding or having it on Stadia means necessarily that it's better to have that suddenly it increases the number of players. Maybe the number of players is limited for gameplay reasons, not for graphical reasons. Did I ever talk about how Mixer and Facebook Gaming have similar features to crowdplay? I mean, Twitch has similar features to crowdplay, but they're not integrated with the games. Does that make sense? Facebook gaming is not something I'm even a little interested in. I think that Facebook is largely responsible for some serious issues in the world, and I don't use them for actual social media. Now, I do use them for Facebook Marketplace, like this ridiculous camera that I have. I got on Facebook Marketplace, but I do not use it to communicate with my friends. I think Facebook is bad, and I will not be doing anything on Facebook gaming ever. I say that maybe they'll change their tune and make things better, in which case I might consider it. Brian Larson, I was thinking of getting a Stadia Premier Edition, but I'm not sure. Maybe waiting for the new version. See, the new version I'm sure would be more expensive. Right now you can get the Premier Edition for $100, which is really good. And not only that, but like right now, like your Facebook feed, you don't see every single thing. Like let's say that I used Facebook, right? And you followed me on Facebook and I posted something. Facebook uses an algorithm to decide whether or not you see that post, unless I pay them to make sure that everybody who follows me sees it. So let's say I'm on Facebook Gaming and I'm doing a stream. You might not know about it because it's hidden from your stream unless I pay them, which is a huge problem. I think Facebook is very bad. I despise that company, and they can go themselves. Hopefully I hit the beep button and not the echo button. I hate Facebook. Bad company. Did I hit the echo button? I didn't hit the echo button, did I? This is the echo button. It was a bleep? Okay, good. So it's funny, I was on a podcast. I was guesting, and like they were all swearing like sailors, and I usually don't swear on my podcast. I don't swear on my podcast. And so I went to hit the bleep button, and instead I hit the echo button. And so it was like it accentuated my point. Kaylin, that's by design. I to myself. Listen, everybody, we're going to be wrapping up here in about 5 minutes, and I'm going to move over to my Twitch channel. So if you could do me the favor, and there's a link in the description down below that takes you to twitch.tv/runjumpstomp. You could follow that channel. I'm going to head on over there and record my Nintendo show in about 5 minutes. Am I going to be watching the Create a live stream at 2? I'm not. I'm going to be busy recording my show. What do people not like about the user experience on Stadia? I mean, the thing that we've said is basically the problem is that we have a different UI on depending on what screen we're using. That's probably the biggest problem. Like if I play on a phone, the UI is slightly different than when I play on the computer, which is slightly different than when I play on the Chromecast, which is very confusing. And you know, Trev's is smart with this. I'd like to be able to sort and order my games. Yes. Why is it one strip of games along the bottom? That's bad design. It's fine when you have 5 games, but when you've got 20 games, it suddenly turns into an issue. Also, it loads real slow on Chromecast. Loading all of those games when you turn it on is very slow. I don't really understand why. Trevs, I would love to be able to put all of the Tomb Raider games into a folder. I personally would prefer that they just make folders based on what genre the game is. And yep, Phase 10, there's no search. For Google, which is a search-based company, it's ridiculous that you can't search. Yeah, the fact that you can't send somebody a text message. Oh, also, having played Elder Scrolls Online a bunch, you know, I want to be able to use the Google Assistant to type for me in my game. So if I'm playing a game and I can bring up the text field and just talk into my controller and have it transcribe that so that I can send it, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. And if you can't give me that, then let me type on my phone instead of typing with the controller. Listen, guys, as we wrap up the stream, if you could do me a favor and click the like button, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button and click the bell. It would be awesome and would really help us out. I'm going to wrap up here. Join us over on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/runjumpstomp. There's a link in the description down below. And I'm going to be recording my Nintendo podcast right over there. So I will see you guys soon. Thank you, everybody who came to hang out today, and big thank yous go out to let's see, we've got Phase 10 Minecraft, Polaris, Michael Mooney, Dot Stripe, Everett Brilly, and Brian Larson for their support during the stream. You guys are really awesome. I appreciate it, and I will see you over on Twitch, I hope. Bye, everybody.